Got to do the classic, clean the professional camera before we start taking photos. You know, this isn't the point I'm going to get at, but you know, sometimes less is more, and simplifying the process is actually a really sweet spot. So, are live selling auctions the future? What do I actually think based on my experience so far and based on everything? Now, if you'd asked me this 2 years ago, what I'd have thought about live selling auctions, I would have probably had maybe a jaded perspective on it, just because of what I've seen on TikTok shop and auctions like that. I would have thought it seems a bit of like a gimmicky way to sell. Everybody's got that same perspective where they're like, this is a little bit like, QVC, the sort of, you know, the live selling, things like this isn't a new like medium of sales, but it is new to the like sort of social media aspect and the sort of phone side of things anyway. But fast forward it to where we are now, and I do genuinely feel like the live selling auctions are going to be a massively pivotal point for the way that people sell. And let me just explain why. So, obviously you lot know, anybody that's watching this at this point, you can kind of see that I've decided to become more of a personal brand. And it's not that I disregard faceless brands, but people buy into people, and if you can see that I'm a genuine person, which I am, then you just might, you might like me a bit, and then over time, how that sort of transfers. But anyway, people buy into people, right? It's more of an intriguing investment because you see in the person and you've got a bit more of a clear transparency as to like what company you're buying into, what their values are, do you align with their values and so on. Now, live auction selling is a very fast-paced version of the personal brand coming into its effect. So live selling auctions, how they tend to work for anybody who doesn't know what they are, is they're done in a medium of formats where they might not be auction based, but they might be selling through a means that you're watching somebody live and they're advertising the product whilst at the same time you can buy it. Creates a very big interactive angle into it, very, very interactive. But what I do with like live selling auctions, one part of sort of my organism and ecosystem right now is going live on an app and live stream selling. Now, there's a few things I'd guess to consider with the live stream selling in a way where I think things that I've noticed is the way that you are on the camera is a direct correlation to the success of how your live will perform. Like, I go on with me and Marge, for anybody that don't know, that's my mum, and we go live. Sometimes she's here, sometimes it's just me, but for the most part, we put transparency, honesty, and what I'd like to say as well is like a bit of a show into it, because I think we've got to that point with buying and selling, and don't get me wrong, over the course of this channel, I'm going to talk a lot about websites and how good they are and third-party apps and, the classic ways of selling, models and flat lays. But if we kind of look at live stream selling and we look at how it's being used in the industry right now, it's just a new layer of interaction that people have not experienced before. So before, I really didn't know what my perspective on it was going to be. Because firstly, I kind of thought, I liked the way that I was selling. I didn't really think that would be something, I'd never really thought about it. Honestly, never really thought about it. But once I sort of started to focus on this personal brand through TikTok, through even YouTube. TikTok's been going on for about a year and a half though, so it's been quite a while. As in, I've been face on the brand on the camera for about 2.5 years. Kind of like sits in line with that. It's fun. And I'm not even joking. It's not even just a fun way of selling. I think it's quite a fun way of buying because, yeah, you could say it's like putting on a show. You know, is it authentic? Realistically, most people can tell if people are authentic or not. But I am tangenting. I want to get back to the point about where I think the future of selling with live streams will go, or like how that plays a role into it. And I think that a marrying of a personal brand and being willing to be on the camera for your brand is a direct, like, coalition with probably the success or the ability of you to be successful doing live streams. Because I've been on the camera doing a personal brand through TikTok, through Instagram, and now through YouTube, confidence on the camera isn't something that I question. So it's definitely something that might be out of a lot of people's comfort zones, but I think that by building an audience and a community through being on the camera is a lot more interactive and engaging for people. You've got to think, anybody can go on any website and see something they like, right? Like, take for example this Man United shirt. There's probably the best part of 300, 400, maybe even 1,000 sellers, European, English, wherever, selling football shirts. Actually, no. There's millions of people selling football shirts, but with just these ones, like this Man United one. If I sold this on a live stream and I said, I'm starting this at £1 and we're here and we're creating an atmosphere, you might be more inclined to bid in that moment on the shirt. Obviously, this is a lot more subjective to if you support Man United or if you're reselling or not. But the whole way that the community works on that is that on the live streams, you're always with a room of people as well. And typically, they're like-minded people. Because you've got something in common. You all like this way of interacting on a stream. So when me and Marge, or when I go on a live, my whole point and premise is I need to know the people who I'm talking to. I need them to know that I'm genuine by just making sure that I'm being honest, being truthful, and kind of giving that side of the process. And in return, it works to benefit everybody. So what I do with the live streams is I work on more of like a wholesale designed approach where it's very affordable stuff. Like people can sometimes typically get things at a much better rate on a live stream, which doesn't mean to say they're not as profitable, because I think that they are a great way for you to channel like volume sales through, if that's one of your intentions. But to kind of go to the point about live stream selling, like if you could experience like buying products that you like in a live theme with a personal brand approach versus just going on a website and buying it, I suppose you have to already know that the website you're going on, you have to almost know of them, know their background, know their ethos, maybe know what their values are. You know, if you're somebody that buys based on values, you might need to know that. Whereas on a personal brand, you basically get people at face value, and you could be like, oh no, I don't like this seller, or I do like this seller, and you create your reasons why. And that's where I like it, because I like to consider myself pretty authentic and not too gimmicky, not anymore anyway, and I have a good time doing it. But where I think selling is going to go is that I think as we get more competitive with the people that are able to sell things on a flat lane, able to do things like that, you've got to start to think about what your USP is. Now, I think, for me, one of my unique selling points is that I'm willing to be on the camera. I'm willing to be very quick, fast, witty, whatever it needs to be. But the main thing is, I'm willing to put myself as a person and a personality on camera for people to essentially give me live feedback, whether they like me or not. And, you know, I have to be prepared for people who will go, this guy's too much of a gimmick, or people who go, I like this guy's energy. And in return, those people can trickle over to your website, to your content that you make, to whatever, because they start to invest in you as a person, as a byproduct of you investing in giving them something for good value. So if you've never done a live stream selling before, or you've never really given it much thought, I would just say, if you are a brand owner and you're somebody who's faceless right now, what scares you about putting your face to the brand? If it's about fear, what would you do that? And if you wouldn't, what would stop you? So yeah, this is a little one about that really. Kind of intrigued to know what anybody would think about that. And yeah, right now, I must say, I'm an advocate for it. I think it's great. I think it's a very expressive way to sell. And I think coming from selling hundreds and hundreds of thousands of individual items in this format, don't get me wrong, there's a reason I still do this format, and that's because people enjoy it. So when I'm saying, is it going to be the future? I don't mean it's going to absolutely take out everything else, but I do think that as personal brands start to be integrated more, as people start to explore other ways of selling, people also start to discover other ways of buying. So if you're a reseller, just take mind of that. And yeah, if you've got any thoughts, let me know what you think. Oh God, every time I finish these videos, I do a little burp. I'm so sorry, it's actually vile. Right, love you and leave you dudes. Have a good day in a bit.